So, in this episode, I'm actually going to read you a conversation I had in a text message last night with a buddy that is soon to be Fortune 500 executive, actually Fortune 100. That's how big this company is. He's in his mid 30s, early to mid 30s, and my goal for this episode is trying to explain how the very successful people make moves, how they make decisions, the things they think about. And this is some of the coaching that we do here. Um, this conversation is really coming from the mentoring that I've given to people over the last 2 decades. A lot of times you try giving people the playbook that you used and all the successful people around you have used, and they don't want to listen to it. We live in a crazy world where we tend to focus on the people that haven't done it, and we'll listen to them more than the people that actually did it. It makes no sense. But if you want to follow this series, make sure you hit subscribe. This really isn't the place you're going to come to. We're not going to tell you the things you want to hear. We're definitely coming from a point of view and giving insights based on people that are very successful. So if you want to get somewhere, if you're looking for insights or a playbook off of people that actually done it, this is the channel for you. There's plenty of places on LinkedIn and the internet that will go tell you the things you want to hear. If you want someone to tell you you can work 20 hours a week and make $100,000 a year, plenty of people out there to tell you that. This isn't the place. We focus on helping people have high growth careers and actually make things happen. So to give you an idea on this particular story, I get a text out of the blue last night, and I'm actually reading this right off of here, off my phone. So if I bounce around a little bit, it's because I'm trying to read a text message. But JP, quick take a director role with a program that has a 45% chance of success, or stay at my current role and do cool stuff as a senior manager. And then he says, the 45% chance is being generous. So that's like, this gentleman's got two top 25 degrees as far as college ranking goes, one of the top MBAs in the country. He's worked for very large companies, only 2 or 3, amazing tenure, 5+ years at each of these major companies. Now is starting to think, I got a shot to go from senior manager to director. He already starts thinking about the probability, which I would have asked him anyways, like if this is a new program, what is the probability of it succeeding? The last thing you want to do is have something on your resume where you were responsible for something and knew and failed. Now, the conversation goes down the path of, first thing I ask is, what's your plan if you stay in your current role? And he's saying, I'm going to stick around for 1 to 1.5 more years and to move on to something else. It's one of those things like, now we start branching off on a tree. Which way do you go? I think it's called the decision tree in like economics. And then we look at probabilities based on that. If I go this way, what is my probability of succeeding? If I go this way, what is my probability of succeeding? And then what's the next branch? Where does that branch lead me from there? So we get in that conversation, and let's say you stay 1.5 years. Do you try to get a promotion to somewhere else? It's inside the company. It's very large. Or do you take your great tenure and try to get a director position at another company? Or if you take this risk over here, and now we got a probability of probably less than 40% of this program succeeding, I asked them, well, how long before you knew the program would fail? And I'm going to tell you why I asked that question. Again, you read stuff online from people. It's a lot different than what happens in the boardroom. Unfortunately, you don't really get to see that kind of content because it's not people that are in the boardroom at Fortune 100 companies that are writing articles on social media and LinkedIn. The way that they evaluate talent and successes and failures is completely different than what you read. Now, at a Fortune 100 company at this size, if they see someone that made a jump from senior manager to director and they were only in that role for 6 months and then they're changing jobs, it could be a red flag. That starts to tell somebody maybe this individual wasn't ready to become director yet. So that's the kind of red flags that get raised when there's high-level people in talent acquisition to be honest, the board, the executive hiring committee, people analyze things way different than, let's say, your $100 million HR manager. So I ask, do we have some runway here? Could you, if I see someone that jumps from senior manager to director and they make it 18 months, I'm probably not asking any questions. It's one of those things that's like, okay, you've proven for almost 2 years that you could succeed in this role. You didn't get bounced out quick. So I'm saying you're saying you got a 40%-ish chance of succeeding at this role. If we have that kind of runway, then worst case scenario, if you know the program's failing and it's no fault of your own, it already sounds like there's a chance that something might go wrong because it's brand new. It gives you the opportunity to jump ship to another company at that point and not raise any red flags. You spent almost 2 years in the role as a director at a Fortune 100. Now, if you think it's going to blow up in 6 months, then what happens? Jumping ship, you can still jump ship. The guy's got an amazing background. He just may not be in a position of power when he goes to the next role. Now, what happens if it blows up and he stays? What does the company have in store for you? Do they know the risk you're taking? From what you understand of the company, do they want you to stay and grow? Is that a backup plan as well? So we start mapping out all these different trees on the branches with probabilities and say, if it goes well, and then, what if it does go well? Then what happens? Do you get another promotion? Do you continue running that? We look at 2 or 3 steps beyond before any decisions ever made. And this is the type of thinking that high-level people do. This is what successful people do. Again, how much thought are you putting into something before you make a career change right now? It's like everyone's resigning. I'm going to resign. Well, are you running away from something or are you running to something is what we often ask. So, at the end of the day, right now, he's going to go back. He's going to go talk to some of the management and say, if this thing succeeds, where do I go from here? And what if it fails and it's no fault of my own? Where does it go from here? If I stay in my current role, what else is in store for me? Do you plan on me just sitting here for 10 years? And he's not the type of person that wants to just sit there for 10 years. He wants to get somewhere. Right now it comes down to leaning towards, taking that role as director, huge bump title-wise. It's one of those jokes like at a small bank, everyone's a VP. Going from senior manager to director at a Fortune 100 is a big deal. It's a very big deal, especially when you plan on potentially going to another Fortune 100 or somewhere in a startup company. That's a nice title to have if you got the tenure to back it and some metrics, KPIs, and stats that you were directly responsible for. So if he gets in this program and it does well, he might be able to fly even higher where he's at. Or if he can get the runway to get that 12 plus months up to 18 months, that's also going to put him in a position to make a jump. And it's one of those things you have to have that conversation. If someone's looking at my resume and they see a big title jump, how long have I been there? If he's there 3 years as a director, everyone's going to think he's a rock star. So these are the things you have to think about before you make a decision. We're out here making a lot of emotional decisions right now. For some people, your back's against the wall and you need more money. I can't blame you for that. You make a jump and you get a few more bucks. Doesn't mean it was the smartest thing for you to do. But I understand as someone that grew up without much money, when your back's against the wall, you got to do what you got to do. But I think when we start making decisions just based on money, when we start making irrational decisions, we start making emotional decisions, you watch these careers just bounce around and people never fully achieve what they're supposed to. But when I look at the people that I know that are extremely successful in the startup world and the tech world, Fortune 100, Fortune 500, these are the type of conversations that we have. This is the kind of thought that goes into it. We're not just focused on getting a $10,000 bump. We're not just focused on a title. We're looking at 2 or 3 jobs down the road. We're looking at what could go wrong. And, on a positive side, we're looking at what if it all goes right. A lot of times we put ourselves in that position. It's, what if it doesn't happen or what if it goes wrong? You also need to ask yourself, well, what if it goes right? And you got to be looking at 2 or 3 steps down the line. And here, if this one goes right, He might stay with the company and grow and try to become a VP, or he might use that to parlay and make another jump over to a company. See, that's where you start making those big jumps. People are out here fighting for, millimeters. You can play the game right. Instead of getting this like $5,000 raise, you might go out there and get a $40,000 or $50,000 raise. But, we're great at being short-sighted and making irrational, emotional type of decisions. The people that are climbing the ladder at these huge companies and making real moves, they just don't think like that. They have a plan. They're not trying to jump every 9 months to get an extra $7,500. If you analyze the careers of extremely successful people, that's usually not how it plays out. At least for the 4 or 5 of the most successful and wealthiest people I know. They all share very similar traits. So, anyways, that's all I got for this episode. If you're looking for more insights on how to achieve a high-flying career not quick, just fast. Faster than normal. Hit subscribe. Make sure you tune in. You don't have to agree with everything we say. I just think that the conversations we have are going to be a little bit different than what you normally experience on the stuff you read from some of the career websites and LinkedIn and social media. We tend to focus on conversations and insights that are based on people that are having quite a bit of success in life. And we look at their playbook and say, this is the model we need to follow. If I had $1 for every person I ran across at Employment Boost that came in for coaching that took some random advice off a LinkedIn article and it kind of screwed their career up, I'd be rolling in cash right now. But again, it's like where I came from. It's one of those things that as you started to have success in money, there was someone from your neighborhood that was telling you how to get rich or make more money, except they have absolutely no money and they've never been rich. There's always those people that have never done it that are always telling you how to do it. And we're kind of coming from the angle of, well, we've done it, I've done it, and we do this every day. That's our perspective anyways and our insights. But that's all we got for this one, and I will catch you on the next one.